What's up, guys? I just want to cover this real fast. This is a big part of my income. Even if you can't donate something to help, whatever, this is how I make my money. I basically, YouTube's a fairly good size of my income monthly. If you can't donate or you don't want to, that's fine. Feel free to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. But if I kept you from spending hundreds or $1,000 easy at a shop, consider me. You know what I'm saying? It takes time to make these videos. I love giving free information, but it also feels good to have my back scratched too. You know what I'm saying? So everything you need to know is in the link below. Also in the comment section, you'll find all my information in the pinned comments. And I hope I help you guys out. You can help me out. Let's get started.
So you replace your carb, you get your scooter running, but it doesn't want to take any kind of throttle. You go to give it throttle, and it keeps bogging. But if you lead into it slowly, sometimes you can get it to go, and other times it'll just do that and die. What is the problem? Why? Why does it do this? And an easy answer for you is that is normally valves. So, if your scooter's doing this, your scooter over time continually gets harder and harder to start. You've replaced your carb. You know that's working. It's definitely getting fuel. It's got spark. It's running. But it just won't take throttle. Right? Why? Why won't it take throttle? Well, that would be because your valves are too tight. If you don't hear your valves chattering, making noise, like this one, it's not making any noise at all. With 6,000 miles, this has tappet valves. They should be chattering. Because they're not chattering, that tells me that they're too tight. And tight valves don't make noise. So, what do we do? How do we solve this? Well, we do a valve job. So today, we're going to do a valve job. Let's get started. Okay, guys, let's tear this thing down real fast. Pull out some electric tools. Get us started here. Boy, we're going to take off this front face. Because that'll really, matter of fact, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put it in there. That'll let me just pull this right off. We can get right to the head. Pull the valve cover, because that'll simplify my life a lot. So, go ahead and pop this off. There we go. Now we have access to this. Exactly what we need. Okay. Alright. Those should be 8s. So, 8mm to take off the valve cover gasket. Which is right here. I'm going to be using power tools because I like to simplify my life. I think everybody does. It just makes more sense. I'm going to just unplug that. Looks like we have an oil leak on the front of this thing. That's always fun. Crack it loose. Back it off a little bit. Crack it loose. Back it off a little bit. And the pairing system. Well, that was loose, so that's probably why that was leaking. That one's also loose. Good reason for that to be leaking. I would guess these two bottom ones. Nope. So the pairing system was definitely loose. Alright, so let's disconnect the pairing system first. Go. Put one there. Put the other pairing system bolt right next to it. Okay. Now we can back off the rest of these. Before I go any further, let's pull the PCV hose, positive crankcase ventilation hose, off of there. There we go. Okay, should be able to pop that off, move that aside. Now this should just come right off of there. Okay. Beautiful. Cool. Alright, well that simplified that. That gasket looks very flat. I'm actually going to see if I have a replacement gasket on my shelf for that real fast. So I'll see you guys in a second. Alrighty guys, I do have a replacement gasket on hand for this engine, so before I go any further, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this gasket because it's been leaking and it seems stupid not to do it while I'm already here, because that will stop the oil leak altogether. If I can get this out of here. Okay. Oh boy, yeah, this one was very worn out. That is extremely flat. So, yeah. Okay. Very, very flat. Now, let's see if we can put this new guy in here easily, or if this one's gonna put up a big old fight. Shouldn't. Looks like it's gonna cure like it should. There we go. Boom. Alright, so I finished pushing this on all the way around. You can order gaskets on eBay if you need to, but that's how you do it. So, new gasket. That should stop any oil leaking that was happening. So there's that. I always order gaskets in large amounts, as you guys can see. This is from Export Motorcycle. I always have some on my shelf for this reason right here, because they wear out really easily. So there you go. Alright guys, the next bit of fun, we got to come down here by this fan cover and remove it so that we can turn the flywheel. Looks like, oh boy, look at that, it's missing both of these. Damn. Alright, well, it is what it is. Somebody's been all up in here. Whoever his mechanic was, they were not very good. They were not nice people to him. They were taking advantage of him left and right. So, I'm just going to loosen this one and that one. There's normally some screws here you got to take off. This is so that we can line up the timing mark. I'll show you what you're looking for on the top of the engine, but that should be enough to get this off of there. If I just pull a little bit, come on off. I may have to loosen one more here. Let me just get this loose. There we go. I should be able to pop that off there now. Okay, so right here, if you guys can see that, I'll pull the dipstick so you can have a better look. Right here is your timing mark. What you're gonna do is turn this until it lines up with the T, which is right there. But the T stands for top dead center, okay? So what we're looking for is this to be on the T, but now we need to make sure that it's on the correct stroke. And to do that, you gotta come over to the top of the engine here. And what we're looking for is these holes to be lined up. I'm gonna see if I can point these holes out to you. So there's one, and there's one, but there's not one here at the top. So there should be a hole up here as well. So we got a hole down there. You can see that hole. You can see this hole, but we're missing a hole at the top. I'm pretty sure this engine specifically has to have all three holes lined up. So let me see if I can just turn the engine here until we get all three holes showing. The big one, I believe, should be at the top like that. So there you go. One hole, two hole, three hole. Okay, so now we're going to go back and look at it, and that should be top dead center. Let's see if we're on the T here. There you go. See how it's on the T? So if you guys can see that T right there on the wheel, and I know that all three of these holes are lined up. All three of these holes now, 1, 2, and 3, are all lined up. That lets me know that the valves can be adjusted. And these are very tight because I can't, the bottom one makes noise, but the top one is so tight, which is the one I think is causing our problem. So, intake, exhaust, right? So, intake, exhaust, 0.004, 0.005. Let's grab our feeler gauges. I'll grab my wrenches and we'll start adjusting these. Now, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. This can be a tedious little job. I've done it a lot of times, but each scooter's slightly different. Some of them put up more of a fight than others. It's nice to have the tools to do this job properly. This is a GY6 valve tool set. You can buy this on eBay. You can order a standard set of feeler gauges. I cut off the two that I know I always need, 0.004 and 0.005. They are correctly numbered on here. I can't remember, oops, can't remember if it's on the front or the back. Anyways, so this is the 0.005 and this is the 0.004. So what we got to do is we're going to do the intake first, and what we need these to do is tap. And as you can tell, this one doesn't move. It's so tight I can't get it to tap at all. These are tappet valves. It's exactly what they're supposed to do. So what we're going to do is loosen this nut, and then we're going to spin that back slightly, and we'll tighten it down a little bit until we can get the feeler gauge to barely drag inside of there. That was very tight, by the way. So let's just undo this a little bit. There we go. And we'll tighten it down slightly, and we'll see where we're at. Like I said, this can be very tedious. Let me make sure I have the correct one. That's 0.005, so that's exhaust. That's not needed right now. I bent these on the end. They have an L shape so they can fit in between the valve. Now I have the perfect amount of drag on here right now. It's still a little bit too much drag, and I have a feeling once I tighten this down, it's actually going to loosen, or it's going to be too tight. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this loose again. We're going to loosen it a little bit more on the top. So we're going to hold the nut in place. We're going to go a little bit looser with the top one, and then I'm going to tighten it down again a little bit, and we'll see where we're at. I just want a little drag on this, that's it. So as you can see, that was too much. The moment I tightened it down, too much. So we'll crack it loose again. So there's that. I'm going to go backwards with the top one just a little bit more, because every time I tighten this, I can see it's tightening the top one. So like I said, this can be kind of a tedious little process to get this perfect, but these have to be perfect if you want the scooter to function correctly. So I've got drag in there. I can fit it in between there. It's got a little bit of drag. It's about what we're looking for, but guess what? It's still slightly too tight, because once I crank this down, it's going to be too tight. So we're going to back it off a little bit more. So we're just going to undo the top one slightly more, like that, and then we're going to tighten her down. So that's partially tight. So I'm going to slide this in there again. There we go. Okay, that's pretty loose. So now I'm going to crack it down nice and hard, and then stick that in there. There we go. Looks like I have the perfect amount of drag on it now. So we'll go ahead and get that nice and tight. Slide that feeler gauge in there again. Beautiful. Hear that? It's exactly what that should be doing. Tapping. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. I love it. Okay. So let's Check this one on the bottom, see how this one is. This one might be perfect, might not need any adjustment at all. Nope, I can't get the feeler gauge in between it. It's refusing to go, which means that it is too tight. So let's crack the bottom one loose. Oh boy, somebody really over tightened these. There we go. And we're just gonna loosen this one just slightly like that. A little bit more, like so. I'm gonna tighten it up. If I can get it on there, there we go. Like so. Make sure I grab the correct feeler gauge. Put that one aside for now. See if we can slide this in there. Not quite. Still too tight. Loose. Loose. Okay, hold that in place. Back that screw out, the top screw a little bit more. Tighten her down again. Check it. Check, check, check. There we go. Perfect amount of space. Crack it down until it's tight. Check the chatter. We got chatter, folks. Okay. Just gonna do one more tightening sesh. A little bit tighter. A little bit tighter. That's it. Okay, top one. 0.004 for the intake, 0.005 for the exhaust. She's ready to go back together. My money's on this thing's gonna start up and allow me to give it throttle. Now that we have proper valve lash settings, this thing should crank up and run. So let's reverse everything. We've got a new gasket on here. I'm gonna get some old oil if I can find it anywhere in here on the engine. Inside the case, we're gonna rub that on the gasket like so. Should always do this to a new gasket. Just put a little bit of the old oil around it. Helps with the bonding process. There we go. Should go right back on there smoothly now, like so. So, despite screws and stuff being missing here, guys, we still need to put this back together. I will get replacement screws that'll go here. So, let's slide all this back into place. Got to get that underneath there, which is going to be fun. Pull this away. Make sure the case is connected properly. There we go. And that one went there. I know because of how dirty it was. And don't forget, we also took off the spark plug wire. So let's get all this lined up again if we can. Alright, let's put the spark plug wire back on. And then we'll see if it starts like it should. Oh. Let's come over here. Just gonna do this. If you remember, we took this off. So now we just need to make sure that it goes back on. Otherwise, scooter no start. So, there you go. Alright guys, next step. This is a fun toy. It's an electric pump. And I'm going to fit that down in there, and we're going to drain the majority of the gas out of here quickly by pumping it out. So, I'm just going to set that right there, turn it on. There you go. Alright. Oh boy. There's quite a bit of old fuel in there. To finish it off now, let me get all that out of there if I can. There we go. So now I'm going to drain the rest of it on the side here. There you go. After I changed the fuel, still having a little bit of an you can definitely hear the engine now. Well, unfortunately I got rained out. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's raining. And my neighbor called me and said I'm being too noisy for this time of the night. It is pretty late. So anyways, so a couple things I didn't show on cam. Number one, I put most of it back together, which I won't put all this back together until I have the seat or the zip ties all completed where I want them. And that's just going to keep popping out until I'm ready to put the seat back on. But I went through and zip tied a bunch of stuff. I also came down here and put a whole new fuel line all the way down. So now it's got all new fuel lines. I did go ahead and replace the CDI box because I felt like it just wasn't putting out good signal, and this one was very old. And so I'm also probably going to be replacing the coil on here as well, so we'll probably put a coil pack on it. It is running. It has a high idle, but I'm thinking I still need to reconnect a lot of this. But I'm also thinking this intake boot might have a leak around it. Sounds like I'm getting some air escape somewhere, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. But that being said, it is running right now, and I think it is drivable. Once it started taking that new gas and I was able to flush the rest of the old gas out of the system, I ran out what was in the carb. Then it started to run way better. So I didn't feel like taking the carb off after putting it on, so I just ran the crap out. I just kept starting the scooter and running the crap out of it. So I'm topping off the battery again tonight. It does have fresh gas in it, fresh filter, fresh fuel hoses, fresh carburetor, fresh CDI. Like I said, battery's taking a top off. We know the valves are done right now. They're tapping like they should. You can hear them. That's exactly how they should be. You should be able to hear the valves. So I will run them like that for the first 200-300 miles, and then we'll recheck them again. If I have to, I'll tighten them down just slightly in case they loosen up. But you should be able to hear the valves. That's 100% should be able to. Yeah, I started up and started revving it up. My neighbor's like, "Hey, is that you out there with your car?" I was like, "No." I was like, "It's a scooter. I just got it going." He goes, Yeah, I'm going to ask you to shut it down for the night." I was like, "All right, I can respect that." It is pretty late, so. Yeah. All right, well, I'm rained out, so we'll get back at this tomorrow. You guys have heard it run now. Still needs a little tweaking. There's a lot of stuff that was neglected on this scooter, and the tire went flat again. So now we need to figure out where the leak is. I think this scooter was punished pretty bad. I think it was punished. So somebody took this apart, didn't quite know what they were doing, and now I'm kind of dealing with some of their problems that they created, which is fine. I'm finding them as I go here. But yeah, so it's sad such a new scooter ended up in this shape, but we'll get her going, and then we'll put nitrous oxide on it because I have this beautiful bottle from my last project with NOS. I ended up buying 2 of these systems, so I have 2 nitrous Sigma 6 kits, and I still have the nitrous set up over here, so we can reinstall the nitrous kit on this scooter because I got 2 of them. And there you go. Plunger's all ready to go with the valve system. So we can run some NOS through this scooter once we get her going. Put some race stripes on her, have a little bit of fun. Yeah.
Are you sure this is okay? You're in country, dude. Live a little. Now she's pretty sensitive, so go easy on the throttle, okay? All right.